Now, you've kind of coined the phrase nutritarian diet. What the heck is a nutritarian diet?
Well, thanks for that. So I think the word nutritarian is supposed to represent the pinnacle of health excellence in the dietary community. In other words, what I'm saying right now, what do we hold up as an ideal way to eat, to live as long as we possibly can, to be disease resistant? It means to eat a diet that's super healthy. And the word nutritarian means rich in nutrients in the quantity, but also the variety, and making sure we're not missing one in particular nutrient that could be important for our survival. And the primary principle to a nutritarian diet, and I have to preface that by saying the most proven methodology to slow aging and live longer, and the only proven methodology, is moderate caloric restriction in the context of micronutrient excellence. So let me say that one more time. Because we know we have the most overweight population in the history of the human race, and fat on the body shortens lifespan. And everybody eats too many calories. So I'm saying that too much fat, too much carbohydrate, and too much protein. Those are called macronutrients. The micronutrients in food are vitamins, minerals, phytochemicals, antioxidants, and Americans in the modern world are ubiquitously deficient in those things. And that's why we have a COVID-19 crisis, because we have people dying of micronutrient deficiencies and excess calories. We have the malnourished, overweight population, where I'm claiming that it's not 70% of Americans that are overweight like the authorities say. It's more like 90%. Because they use a BMI of 25 as the demarcation line between a normal weight and overweight. And I'm saying all long-lived societies, all blue zones, have BMIs for males below 23 and for females below 22. And using a 23 BMI, then we see 89% are overweight or obese. And among those people who are of a normal weight, the majority of them, about 80% of them are normal weight because they either smoke cigarettes or they're alcoholics or they have some illness keeping them thin. 2.4% of Americans eat healthfully. And that's why we're seeing so much COVID deaths, because we have a completely malnourished society. And there's no such thing as an overweight person who's healthy. Every overweight fat on the body is pathogenic. It spews out reactive oxygen species, cytokines, lipokines, makes insulin resistance. So what I'm saying right now, moderate caloric restriction to maintain a healthy weight slows the aging process and lowers your metabolism so you age slower. Everybody's trying to raise their metabolism so they can eat more food and not get fat. I'm saying no, we should be eating less food, a little bit less, so we moderately slow our metabolism, so we need less calories and don't get too thin. It's the opposite. And we have to have those calories we choose have to have a high micronutrient bang per caloric buck. And the foods with the highest micronutrients per calorie are generally green vegetables, are most protective against cancer, heart attacks, dementia, and of course, and I'm also saying that this anti-cancer lifestyle arms the immune system so we don't get cytokine storm, flooded with mucus and lung, so we're not going to die during an epidemic. I wrote this about 8 years ago. I published a book called Super Immunity, and I wrote in that book about how that not only are infectious diseases going to kill more people in the future, but we're laying ourselves at risk of having some novel virus or new bacteria arise from bacterial changing. Becoming more resistant to antibiotics. That we're going to have more infectious deaths in the future unless people start eating healthfully, because medicines can't buy us good health. We have to start earning nutritional excellence to protect us against these things. And then, of course, COVID-19 comes along, and people are dying now that don't have to die if they ate healthfully. So a nutritarian diet means nutritionally rich with enough variety to get the immune system really strong.
I couldn't agree more. This past week, there's a paper out of China looking at selenium status. There are some areas in China that have very low selenium in their soil, and other places where they have adequate selenium in their soil. And many people listening to us going, well, what the heck is selenium? But it's a micronutrient. And they found that the people who had low selenium status in their diet had virtually an 80 to 90% death rate from COVID-19. And people who had a high selenium status in their diet virtually did not die from COVID-19, just one micronutrient. And we can look at vitamin D, for instance. So you've been on the cutting edge of this. And so It's really hard to convince somebody that selenium, for instance, could make a possible difference in your health. And yet in your book, you make a very strong case, and you always have, that we are lacking in multiple micronutrients and we've overwhelmed in macronutrients. So take us through, what are you going to do about this? Are people listening to you?
I think many are, but a lot aren't. The majority of people are committing suicide with food. I think that the fear of cancer is 20, 30, 50 years down the road or whatever it is. That's not enough for them to, let's say, quit smoking or stop eating bagels and hot dogs and donuts and pizza. What I'm saying is that people want a magic pill that they can take so they can smoke 3 packs a day and not get lung cancer, or eat burgers and pizza and not get breast cancer. But that's a fairy tale. That's never going to happen. If you eat sweets, commercial baked goods, fried foods, and things like that, you're going to have a horrible life. But now it's different. What's different now is COVID-19 can kill people right away who eat that way. And fried foods suppress immunity. And so what I'm saying right now is I think now's an opportunity to have more people recognize the importance of nutritional excellence. And even though the mass media is not talking about this, well, I'm getting the opportunity to speak more, I think, at home, through Zoom and Skype and things like that. But I do think that more people might be waking up to the fact that we can control our health destiny and don't have to be fearful of being killed by this virus if we get in great health. And I just want to say something to make so people aren't so fearful, is that I know that when you're overweight, you increase your risk of death by more than 700%. And so a nutritarian is a person who's at their normal weight with a BMI below 23 because they've eaten lots of healthy foods and vegetables. But what I'm saying right now is we see that if you're overweight and you change your diet, within a few weeks, you start to become less insulin resistant, even while you're still overweight. The aromatase activity, the activation of the heightened estrogen starts to come down. The body doesn't spill out as many lipokines and cytokines if you're losing weight at the rate of 1 kilogram a week. We see that with people having gastric bypass even, or lap band, that if they're losing weight, their diabetes starts to go away even before they've lost all their weight. So I'm saying right now during these times that a nutritarian is a person who's, yes, at their ideal weight, eating very healthfully, but also a person who may still be overweight, who's dropping weight at least a pound every 3 days. And because if they're eating right enough to lose weight at least 2 pounds a week, we're going to see rapid increase in immune system function that's going to afford them more protection while they still haven't gotten to their ideal weight yet. And what I'm saying right now, of course, is that the white blood cells are chronically overly stimulated, and the normal range of white blood cells on a blood test from Quest says 5 to 10. But when you start flooding your body with these nutrients, particularly ones found in green vegetables, we see people getting a lower white blood cell count as inflammations go down. So my normal white blood cell counts for my patients and followers might be between 2.2 and 6 might be a normal white blood cell count. Because what I'm saying is that the battery keeps its charge. The flashlight keeps its charge when the flashlight's turned off. Keep the flashlight turned on, the batteries burn out. We don't want to keep our body in chronic inflammation, because then we're not going to respond quickly to a virus, be able to put out the fire from the viral replication. And I've also discussed in my prior books that viruses' RNA can replicate and take more pathogenic forms and evade immune system capture in an immunosuppressed or nutritionally deficient health. And as you said, a deficiency of any one nutrient, even a deficiency of beta carotene, of zinc, of selenium, of vitamin D, of a host of different nutrients, what your weaknesses are, what you're missing. Whatever you're missing, that could be something that weakens your immune system. We need comprehensive micronutrient adequacy, and including a diet rich in phytochemicals, from a different vegetables. And I have this acronym called GBOMBS, GBOMBS, so people recommend to eat these natural foods with anti-cancer effects regularly. And of course, that stands for greens, beans, onions, mushrooms, berries, and seeds. Of course, greens, beans, to try to encourage people to eat their flax seeds, to get the variety of mushrooms, to eat, in other words, to eat. And of course, I want people to eat a big raw salad every day, at least once a day, a large salad every day. And what makes which with some cruciferous green on it, like arugula or shredded cabbage or baby bok choy. And what makes my advice different than most people is I want their salad dressing or their fat in their diet to come from nuts and seeds, not from oils. It's not walnut oil, it's walnuts. It's not sesame oil, it's sesame seeds. It's not flaxseed oil, it's flax seeds. And we make delicious dressings and sauces and desserts and dishes that we take the oil out and we put the whole nut or seed in, because the studies are the evidence is overwhelming that when you make that switch, we extend human lifespan, improve immune function, and decrease the calorie-consuming monster. In other words, what I'm saying right now, too, is when you eat a diet low in nutrients, you become a calorie-consuming monster and you can't control the appestat.